Good afternoon, everyone. Vanakkam. Thank you very much for joining us here at the India Today Conclave. It's my pleasure to welcome her on stage, and please, if all of you could give a big round of applause for Rukmini Vasanth.
Thank you so much. Vanakkam, everyone.
So first of all, Rukmini, welcome to the India Today Conclave.
Thank you so much, Akshita. I'm very excited to be here today.
It's a pleasure to have you, especially because of the kind of work that you're doing right now. You know, I've seen your films, absolutely loved them, but you must be on cloud nine. You know, your films have done so well. You're in Kantara. You're coming up in Toxic. So, I mean, you've got a great track record of films coming up.
I am very, very excited. There's a lot of amazing work happening, and I am quite privileged to be a part of some amazing projects. So yeah, I am on cloud nine. Thank you.
And these are all films, projects that, you know, are pan-India projects. We've seen already this superstardom of Yash. We've seen already Rishabh Shetty and Kantara, what a big success it was. Are you looking at kind of moving into the direction of being a pan-India star, not limited to one language?
You know, I don't know that that's a decision that can be taken. It's a hope that can be held very fervently. But I think perhaps more than the aspiration of being a pan-Indian star or something like that, there is a deep desire to be involved in quality work that reaches people. So language almost becomes immaterial. It's just the desire to reach as many people as you can.
So let's take it back to your first massive hit. And I don't watch, to be honest, a lot of Kannada films, but this one I had seen a couple of years ago, Saptasagra Dachayelo. If you've seen it, you know, of course, that it was a beautiful, beautiful movie, extremely moving. I think most people who saw it were moved to tears, and your acting was absolutely amazing in that. Did you expect that kind of response? Because, you know, you started off with a bang.
You know, Again, I don't know that you can expect these kinds of things. I knew that with the kind of team that was coming together, whether it was our director Hemant Rao or our producer and our hero Rakshit Shetty, or the music director Charan Raj, this incredible force of wonderful creatives coming together with a story that was very emotional and intense, I knew that there was some magic there, and I knew that I was very lucky to be piggybacking on it. But again, you can't really expect these things. You just sort of hope, work as hard as you can, and then let the chips fall where they may.
You know, there's so much of footage, I will put that out as well, of how people reacted when the film was released in theaters. I remember also there was footage of you in one of those premieres where everyone was so emotional. There it is right there, where you were with some of the biggest superstars of Kannada cinema as well. Do you remember this moment? I'm sure it was surreal for you.
Crystal clear. It was a very formative moment. To be in a hall like that and to see people, look, cinema is essentially make-believe, right? But to see people engaging with fiction with so much openness and so much heart, it really moves you as an artist. So that was one of the first moments that I was able to feel that, and I think, you know, it's a feeling that I will constantly attempt to replicate.
But I think it's also reciprocative, right? Like, you opened up your heart in that performance. What really stood out about the film and your performance was how raw it was, how simple it was. It was kind of rooted to what you'd see in everyday life, which sometimes films don't tend to be. They over-glamorize, they kind of overdo the emotion. This was subtle, it wasn't over-glamorized. Were those aspects that worried you? Because very often there are lead actors who are scared to be kind of boxed in that image. Mm-hmm.
See, I think it also has to do, Akshita, with the time that I was in my career. I didn't have much work at that point, and I knew that what I really wanted was something meaty to sort of sink my teeth into. I knew what I wanted, what I hoped to play around with in terms of intense and deep, complex emotions. So that was something that I was really keen on, and that was also something that our director was very upfront about. He said, if you're looking for a glam heroine type film, this is not the one. So he was very upfront about it, even before my audition, before he knew if I was capable of doing this role or not. He was very, very upfront, and he said, listen, this is not your classic heroine type film. this is an actress type film. So think about that. Think about whether you're okay with that. And I was. So sometimes you get lucky with roles that are really beautifully written and have a great deal of depth in them. And it was very heartening to see that the audience responses when the films came out were not about, whether I have lines on my face or whether, I had dark circles or any of that. It was more to do with the content of the film or the emotions that I was attempting to put across that, hopefully reached them. It was really heartening to see people engaging with all of that rather than the superficiality of, say, how my skin looked. So.
And, when you see that particular film, it's almost as if you're a veteran yourself. How did you...
Come on.
Your performance was amazing, and I can't stop praising it because I loved the movie. And I think a large part of me loving that movie was because of you. And, how you made that character come alive, how you made so many of us relate to what she was going through and the ocean of emotions that she was going through, whether it was part A or B. But you always wanted to be an actor in that sense, right? It wasn't something that you stumbled into.
No, it wasn't. It was a very intentional,
you had great
almost
clarity.
Frantic. Yeah, I was running headfirst into anything that would bring me toward performing. Yeah.
So you studied acting, and then how did this film happen?
I did. I studied at a school in the UK called the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. I did a foundation course in acting there, which changed my life. It taught me pretty much everything that I knew when I first started in film. Every film is a laboratory of sorts. You learn a completely new, different kind of skill on every single set, whether it's a masala commercial film or whether it's a deep, intense sort of film. You pick up a whole new set of skills regardless. But drama school was really where it began for me, and there's a certain external validation also that you get after you audition for something and then a group of unbiased strangers say, yeah, okay, you have something in you. So it does give you that first scaffolding upon which to build the rest of your confidence. So that was where I got that at drama school. This role with Saptasagar Dache Yellow, which was actually my second film, that came about because I sent an out-of-the-blue DM to the director when I found out that they were casting for this film. And I said, I'm a trained actor. I would love to audition for your film. If there's any possibility, please do let me know. And I would jump at it. And it did happen, yeah. I have to give full credit to the director for entertaining, a random DM. But yeah, Hemant took that chance on me, and then the audition happened, and it worked.
Amazing. But I think one of this film, Saptasagar Dache Yellow, is a standout really for Kannada cinema because of what it's also done for Sandalwood. There's a huge debate, and very often, you pit all the woods against each other, whether it's Bollywood, Collywood, Tollywood. There's a constant criticism that comes Sandalwood's way that, look, Collywood is known, so is Tollywood, for these massive super hits, pan-India massive films. Mollywood is known for its stories, its structure, the beautiful storytelling. And somehow Sandalwood is hidden in all that they don't really live up to the other woods or the film industries from the South. What do you think?
I come from Sandalwood, so obviously...
So you have a bias.
I do. I have to be honest. I do have a bias. I do think that there's incredible work that's happening there, that's been happening, and that perhaps it's a matter of perspective and the fact that now attention is going there. When you have massive films like KGF and Kantara that command a certain kind of attention, then there also does go a great deal of attention to this kind of stuff that's happening at a grassroots level. So a Kannada film, Sunflowers Were the First to Know, was also in the Oscars race. And if I'm not mistaken, it did win. So that is, there is stuff happening on a grassroots indie level as well. There's stuff happening on a massive Kantara, KGF, toxic level. So I think it's unfair to sort of, you can't really work in generalities. And for one, I am very, very excited that there is a spotlight on the Kannada industry now. And I think it's an amazing time to be an actor there and to be an actor from there.
Very well put. But the films that you listed, whether it's KGF or Kantara, Yash, Rishabh Shetty, you're working with them all now. What's that like? I think everyone wants to know how different is it to work with a Rishabh Shetty and how different is it with a Yash? Are they completely different in their approaches?
They're all very, very passionate artists and very, very creative, wonderful human beings. It's such a joy, especially at such a nascent stage in my career, to be privileged to run in these circles, to watch these incredible creatives, these amazing professionals do what they do best. I feel as if I'm just a sponge. I'm taking in so much as I interact with these people and their approach to their work. Obviously, artists are very different. All sorts of artists are very different from each other, but I think that the sheer passion and commitment with which they approach their work is awe-inspiring.
Okay, if I can, then what's your biggest learning from Yash?
Oh, wow, that's going to be so hard. There's an all-encompassing vision of what, what this film, or it's more than a film sometimes, it's like a movement of what this cultural like zeitgeist could be, and that is, to have such an all-encompassing vision is quite something.
And Rishabh Shetty?
The thing I think I've taken from Rishabh sir the most is how, again, he's got an incredibly grand vision. Now, just recently from Kantara, they released, I think, a 15-minute video from the making of the film. And you can see the degree to which, the world of Kantara has expanded, the kind of enormous scale that has been created for this world. But it's also very, very rooted. It's very, very present in the cultural milieu that made the first film so successful. So the idea that you can have such monumental vision and still have it hold on to the essence and the heart of what worked, it's brilliant.
Amazing. We're very excited for you.
Thank you
and
so
looking
much.
forward to Kantara and Toxic. Away from acting, what I found very, very interesting, Rukmini, is also the family that you come from. Her father, Colonel Venugopal, was actually killed in action in the 2007 Uri attack, where his team was essentially confronting terrorists. He was wounded, continued to lead his team to corner those terrorists. So thank you, for what your family has done for this country. I'm sure you've learned a lot from your father too in this journey.
Yeah. I
And,
have a great deal.
And your mother also, the fact that she still at this point, after that, and you can only imagine what Rukmini's family has gone through. Through that, her mother now has started working on helping war widows. And that's something you're also very, very passionate about.
Absolutely. I mean, it left a very lasting impact on me because I was a child when we lost our father. And at that point, to see my mother, whose world had been completely rocked, completely changed, take what was such raw pain and find a way to channel that to other people and to find a way to spread the immense privilege that had reached our family, to find a way to disperse that amongst others it may not have reached, was something that was so moving to me, but it also kind of instilled a very strong sense of philanthropy, I think, of a way of taking your pain and making something almost productive out of it. Because it takes a great deal, I think, to isolate yourself from your own particular pain and reach other people who may be suffering in the same way, and thus you build a sense of community. So one of the most wonderful things that this foundation called Veer Ratna does is that they organize these 3-day workshops for the women and children, the wives and children of martyrs. And those workshops become a sense of community. So you have 3-day workshops and everyone is together and you've built a sense of togetherness between people, and all of us, I've attended them, my sister has attended them as participants. We all have one thing in common. We've lost our fathers in action. But it grows to be so much more than that. It grows to be a community. So that is something that I think is fantastic, and it's something I care very deeply about.
So, it's beautiful, as you put it, to change your own grief and then help others also overcome that kind of grief. Do you also feel a sense of responsibility because of that? You're someone with great influence as well now in the platform that you're in with millions of followers. Do you feel that sense of responsibility?
Certainly. And, oftentimes we have to use that, the attention or the eyes that come on us, we do channel it towards our work professionally. But I do also feel, obviously, a lot of responsibility toward the foundation and directing attention to other important causes. I think that we need to kind of change that spotlight around and spotlight other different issues as well. So, yeah.
Because one of the issues, and very often they talk of responsible cinema, and for a woman particularly, is how in some films, I'm not saying all, in some films, particularly in today's time, there are questions raised of the portrayal of women. Mm-hmm. Is that something you're extremely conscious of about as well?
In what sense? Conscious of?
Of how women are portrayed in films. Very often over-sexualized in some cases. In some cases also, it's the hero who acts a certain way with the woman, and then you kind of promote eve-teasing, catcalling. I'm just giving you specific examples. But do you think that that's something that you're very conscious about when you pick a film as well?
Certainly. I think that, look, one of my guiding philosophies is that you need to look at a film in its entirety. I can't look at it in isolation, because when you come to watch a film, you're not watching it in isolation. You are looking at what the bottom line of either my character or the other characters in the film promote or encourage. So I do think that it is important to have an overview, a sense of what exactly the film is about. But I can't say that I have a moral judgment that I approach the film in, because I feel like if you approach a character or a film with too much judgment, then you can't really do any justice to what purpose you're supposed to play to the film. So there is a certain amount of neutrality that you need to come into. But there are certain, I think all actors have certain values and principles of their own that they hope not to outrage through their work. So I fall in one of those categories.
So you look at the overall picture,
I do,
essentially, which is great. But I think, for women actors also, and because you're someone who's seen this massive hit early on in your career, I am curious to know, is it that much harder for a woman to succeed in a film industry? Because it's very often touted to be male-dominated. Is that actually the case? Did you feel it?
I can't. I can't speak in generalities, but if I were to speak with regard to my career, if you take a set of films like Saptasagar Dachelo, Side A and Side B, a lot of Side A was my character. Yeah. It was quite Priya-centric. And I think that speaks to the strength of the writing, but also the fact that audiences, they just want engaging, beautiful storytelling. They're not sitting there and saying, we'd like to know only the hero's perspective, please. Thank you very much. Can you stop talking? That's not really where they're coming from. They want to be invested in the story. And I can't say that, that they're only interested in one side of that. So I think that there is interest in human stories. I can't particularly say at this point that it's tilted one way or another.
So you don't think that for women actors, it's a greater struggle to be successful, that there are a lot more criteria that you have to kind of tick before you make it big? Or you didn't at least face that?
I don't know. I can't say that I've faced it, certainly. But I think that men and women, in their own capacities in film, have a certain, categories that they need to fill, or certain demands that need to be met. And I think it varies slightly for men and women, but there are definitely demands for both.
Okay, so I am glad that we're seeing that change in the industry, because I think 10 years ago, if you had a conversation about what the industry was like, it's very different from today. So you're seeing that progress, and I think it's a movement in the right direction. You worked, of course, in Sandalwood, and we've spoken in great detail about the work that's coming up and what you've done already. You've also worked in the Tamil film industry, in the Telugu film industry. How different is each of these? Is the process very similar? Are they very different?
Rather than industries, I would say that each set has a very different tenor. And that's personally one of the things that I find extremely exciting about my work, is that it's almost like a new job. Every film is a completely new set of people, a new character, a new film, a new world sometimes. So you're constantly on your toes, you're constantly adapting, and for somebody like me, that's very, very exciting. So rather than differences across industries, I would say each individual set has a very different flavor to it.
You know, you've described journalism in a way, because that's exactly what all of us, I think, are addicted to, the constant churn. You know, you're never bored. It's never
Exactly.
monotonous.
So you would enjoy the film industry as well.
I don't know about that. But is that what, kind of attracted you to films? Is that why you said that, look, I want to be an actor, this is what I want to do? Because you said you had great clarity about that.
I did. I'll tell you what, for me, I think it was the fact that I felt at home on stage. I felt comfortable talking to a large group of people. I felt comfortable pretending to be someone else. I felt really comfortable in an imaginative world. And I didn't feel strange when people looked at me when I was pretending to be someone else. That felt like a treat. So that sense of comfort, I think, was the first thing that made me feel like this was something that could be possible. And then obviously, you know, parents or friends coming and saying, oh, you did a good job in that play. And you're like, okay, maybe this is something I can do at that, at that adolescent phase where you're trying to figure out what it is you like and what you're good at. So I got a little lucky, I think, with doing plays and performances, and a lot of generous people coming up to me and telling me, whether they meant it or not, that I was doing a good job.
You know, if you were to join us next year here at the India Today Conclave, or let's say 5 years from now, you're still early on in your career, what really would you want people, the audiences, to remember Rukmini Vasanth as? What is the legacy you want to leave? It's very early to talk about this, but I want to understand what really is driving you and which direction you're headed in.
Oh, wow, that's an incredible question. That I'm not sure. I see, the thing that has given me a lot of gratification and joy thus far is having played characters that resonate in people's lives very deeply. Priya was one of those characters that, seems to have nestled very deeply in people's hearts. The number of DMs I've got about, past loves that people have been reminded of. And a lot of that is testament to stellar writing. But it's meant a lot to me that I've been able to lend some life to what is some already amazing writing. So, I hope that I will continue to be involved in films that in some capacity are able to give people some sort of feeling. I think that's a very vague answer, but hopefully
so
that's the route.
You want to focus on the emotion of films. Do numbers matter? Ensuring a film is a super hit, pan-India, as we've been talking about.
See, the complexity with film is that it is both an art and a business. I am an artist and not yet perhaps a business person in film. So I don't know that I can contribute about that. Obviously the business is important because without the business part of it, the art cannot exist. So it's a lovely dance that goes on between the two of them. So numbers matter, yes. Do they matter to the artist as much? I don't know. But right now my priority is the art. I hope the numbers work because they will ensure that I can continue to be a part of the art. But when a film moves you, I don't know if you're thinking, man, this made 1,200 crores. I don't know that that's what you walk away with. It is important, certainly, and I'm not the right person to be talking about it. But what I would like to continue to facilitate through film is feeling. So, yeah.
I think the emotion, and that's exactly since, you're talking about giving something to the audience, which is feeling. I think the emotion that you put across in your films through your eyes and how you emote is what really stood out for so many people. And, there's one clip from the film, which, again, I love, which is of you singing. And that is with, of course, Rakshit Shetty hooting in the backdrop.
Yeah.
There's so much emotion in that particular scene that I wonder, how do you really, connect to that kind of a moment when you're doing that kind of a scene, which we've got up right now. And that's the scene that I'm talking about, where you're singing, and this is right in the beginning of the movie. How do you get that kind of emotion to relate to this character of so much heartbreak and then emote it?
I think a great deal of that does come from your director because they envision the emotional space and what is in the character's heart. I think our director for this film, Hemant Rao, is a very, very empathetic person, and he's also very well spoken. So he was able to communicate to me, I think, the essence of what he wanted covered. And then part of my process is a lot of writing. I do sort of journal a little bit and then delve into what the emotional space might be for the character. And then you let all these ideas sort of marinate inside you, and then they call for action. And then you see what happens. And then there's 2 or 3 takes, and yeah, this is one of the 2 or 3. So there is personally, I believe that there is a lot of planning that goes before, first as my process. But then there is also a great deal of magic that just happens in the moment, especially when you have, actors like Rakshit who are just fantastic. They give you so much that you end up also reflecting a great deal.
Okay, speaking of this scene, I think you know what's coming, but there is
No.
a raging debate on social media. Twitter and Instagram are divided. Twitter, as you told me, thinks you're a bad singer.
Yes.
Instagram thinks you're a good singer. So I think we let our audiences
thank
decide
you.
which one is it.
No,
I think the large demand will be of Kadalnu. Can you sing a few lines of that for us? There you go.
No.
Let them decide.
I think a great deal of an actor's aura is their mystery.
No,
So
that's broken. You've gone to social media with the song already. So go ahead, just a few lines.
I don't think so. No.
All right, she doesn't want to
Thank
do it
you
right
so
here.
much.
So we'll listen to it on social media. But thank you so much, Rukmini, for joining us here at the India Today Conclave.
Thank you
and
so
all the
much.
very best for Toxic, for Kantara, and much, much more. I'm very sure
Thank
coming.
you. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you
Thank
all so
you.
much.